Okay, I've got to edit this paper. Must get it down to under 300 words. Take out this word, make a contraction here. I can do this. But before I finish editing, maybe I should think and reflect on what I've learned in my EPSE 501 class on human development, learning and culture. Thinking about how it relates to my own classroom will help me contextualize the information and connect it to my own theory on human development. So part of my theory is that I believe that development happens both internally in oneself and through exposure to external factors like environments and people. One of the theories that we learned about was behaviorism. This looked at how exposure to outside stimuli causes a change in behavior. Some of the theorists include Pavlov and Watson in their experiments with classical conditioning. Then there is Skinner's take on behaviorism with operant conditioning. When I learned about these, I realized how I use behaviorism in my classroom on a daily basis as a part of my management strategies.
Bonjour mon ami. Comment ça va?
Ça va comme ça. Bravo mes amis. Whether it be through a reward system or a thumbs up, I use positive reinforcement to condition my students to behave a certain way, such as speaking in French in the classroom or transitioning well from one activity to another. These outside stimuli affect the way they behave and learn in the classroom. Time for a coffee. Hey, what are you thinking about? I'm just trying to brainstorm the different internal and external factors that affect human development. How about considering Brenner's bioecological systems theory? That's a really good idea. He believed that development is impacted by the relationships of the individual and their environments, both their immediate environment and on a larger scale. These include the home, community programs, child and family policy, the values and attitudes of the people surrounding the individual in time and place. I definitely believe all these factors play a role in development. Yes, and consider how all of those ecological factors are affecting the development of each and every one of your students. There is a lot at play here. You're right. I need to think about where all my students are coming from. They are a part of diverse cultures, beliefs, upbringings, backgrounds, and value systems, and I need to consider these factors to make sure I am not making assumptions or creating specific standards for all students to reach at the exact same time. Each student's learning happens at different times for each individual person. This got me thinking about the theorist Piaget and his stages of development. I believe that learning happens at different times for each individual. I also think there are certain specific benchmarks, both physical and cognitive, that do occur but within a broad range. For example, physical development such as rolling over, sitting up and walking all happen within a range for babies and toddlers. As well, cognitive development such as language and communication happen within a broad range as well. Some children achieve these benchmarks earlier or later than others, and it is based on the individual's readiness and intrinsic motivation. Once one concept is learned, they may be able to link it to another more complex task. Hey Caitlin, so if you see development happening gradually over time from simple to more complex understandings and abilities, but at an individual's pace and sense of readiness, do you also see children as solitary scientists that create their own knowledge like Piaget believed? You know, I can see valid points there. I definitely see aspects of cognitivism and individual learning when my students are building schemas in their own long-term memories from some of the information they take in, such as language and grammar rules. But I think because I see so many environmental and social factors that influence development, that Vygotsky's emphasis on social interactions and interactions with one's own world is really important to me. Even these benchmarks I was talking about earlier, and when they happen, are influenced by the world the child lives in.
Hey Caitlin, I overheard you talking in the library about your HDLT. If you see learning happening at a different pace for each child, how do you see this reflected in your own classroom?
Well, I think we need to be cautious in assigning specific grade levels or concrete ages to the time of learning, achievement, or mastery of certain skills, as this can range for each child. For example, in BC, There is an expectation that students will be able to read at the end of grade 1. Conversely, in many Scandinavian countries, learning to formally read isn't emphasized until upper primary years, and their literacy rates do not suffer as a result. We need to look at each child's level of readiness. So how do I make sure the students are continuing to learn and move forward on an individual level to build knowledge, understanding, and skills? I remember talking about the constructivist theory in Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. This is the distance between what you can do on your own and what you can do with help from someone more knowledgeable. I need to make sure I'm setting up a learning environment where the ZPD is optimal for all students. As well, I need to ensure I am properly scaffolding activities so that my students can successfully build on their understanding. I also related to Jean Levinetti and Wenger's model of situated learning and the idea of communities of practice. My students engage more and are more intrinsically motivated when the learning is contextual, done through socialization and a common interest in a subject. I can see the ZPD occurring and the communities of practice when we have the school knitting club or class community time. Hey Nate, what are you working on?
It's this new technique I learned a while back called brioche stitch. I can show you how to do a simple and more complex version for your own knitting.
Awesome. Thanks. It's this type of learning environment and community that I want to try and foster in my classroom, both academically and socially. It builds students' social and emotional and self-regulation skills that play a part in their readiness and willingness to learn. Well, all that reflecting helped me refocus my ideas for this HDL theory paper. 299 words. I did it. Woohoo. Time to post it.